Hello FVGC students. Today we're going to be taking our thumbnail sketches and transferring them onto the good paper for our final project. First thing you need to do is look at the size and ratio of your thumbnail sketches. If your thumbnail sketches are rectangular, then you are going to get a piece of final paper that is in the shape of a rectangle. If your thumbnail sketches are square, you're going to want to get a piece of paper that is in the format of a square. Thumbnail's in the shape of a rectangle, so I got a rectangular piece of paper. It can be intimidating when you first get started to look at this big blank sheet of paper and know where to get started. What you're going to want to do is look at your thumbnail sketch in order to get placement, but when you go to actually draw your objects, you're going to want to refer to your reference pictures for accuracy. See students just looking at their thumbnail sketch and not referring to the reference pictures. This is a problem because you typically don't have a lot of detail in your thumbnail sketch, which you really shouldn't have. Your thumbnail sketch was just made for placement, but your reference pictures are made for accuracy and detail. Okay? So use your thumbnail for placement, use your reference pictures for drawing nice, accurate drawings. To get started sketching, you need to make sure that you are using your H pencil. So get your H pencil out. You do not want to be sketching with your 2B pencil or your 6B pencil. This is because they're too dark, and when we have to erase, there's going to be issues with seeing a lot of eraser marks. So draw lightly as you can, and use your H pencil when you get started. When you start drawing, make sure you're accessing your pictures, your reference pictures, and lightly sketch. You don't want to push too hard. If you push too hard, you're going to have tons of eraser marks. So if you're heavy-handed, really make an effort to use your H pencil and barely let it touch the paper at all. Okay, as you observe through your reference images, you might have to move to your next reference image. Take your time, carefully observe angles. If you need to get a ruler because you're making a lot of straight lines, please access a ruler. If at any time you make a mistake, it's not a big deal. All you're going to need to do is use your eraser, try again. Okay, I made many mistakes while I was drawing this. I erased and then I re-looked, did it again, sometimes several times. You can see where I'm drawing this air balloon here, I use my eraser quite a bit. And that's okay. Okay, so you're going to keep on drawing until you have every single line in here that you want to have in, including your background. Okay, I now have my entire drawing lightly sketched onto my big paper, and I'm ready for the shading process. The actual drawing portion of this is going to take you a couple of days. I would say somewhere between 2 to 4 days, depending on the amount of detail in your drawing and the amount of careful observation that you're doing. If you finish this in like 15 minutes, there's probably going to be some problems with your drawing, and we're probably going to have you go back and carefully observe what you're doing. Remember, when you're doing your final sketch on your good paper, you are no longer placing yourself into your drawing. That will be done with a photograph. We just put this in the thumbnail sketch so we knew where the placement was going to be. But in your final sketch, please do not draw yourself in it. Just leave that area empty. Back from our Christmas break, we will continue the drawing portion, but then we will get into shading, which will be a fairly time-consuming part of this project. So when we come back from break, you will be returning back upstairs to the art room while we work through the shading process and then get to the digital imaging part sometime later in January. So at this point, you can go ahead and either get a rectangular size or square piece of paper and go ahead and access your reference images, whether they're printed out on your iPad or on your Jamboard, and go ahead and get to the drawing portion.